Good evening, Manchester. Sweet. Okay, let's just check if the equipment works. Okay, sweet. So, just curious how many of you are familiar with the word orgasmicity or have the experience of a full body energetic orgasm? Just raise your hand. Sweet. Beautiful. Familiar crowd. Okay. Diving right in. Welcome. I'm going to be approaching orgasmicity tonight from 3 different perspectives. The deep somatic perspective of embodiment. For those of you that are biohacking geeks, diving briefly in the time we have into the nervous system and even deeper under the tone of the nervous system into the fluid system of the body. And the classical Tantrik perspective. I grew up in India. One of my passions is translating primary sources written in regional languages or Sanskrit into regular human. Just the body. I'll pause. Okay. Sweet. And, and the sexual shamanic perspective, which is, I notice sexuality being used for entertainment or reproduction, which are valid options. And my passion is integrating sexuality and spirituality and the deeper purpose of accessing sexuality and spirituality for healing, restoration, manifestation. Sweet. So, I'm going to be touching upon the why, the what, and the how of orgasmicity. So what do I mean by orgasmicity? Coming back to orgasm. Orgasm, for many human beings, can be a frequency of energy, and I acknowledge that I'm using the word energy. I will dive deeper into that. In their genitals, maybe. And every cell in our body has the potential to be orgasmic. What I mean by that is orgasm as an event, as a time-limited event, as having a beginning, a peak, and an ending, is one type of orgasmic event. And there are other types of orgasmic experiences that human beings can tune their embodied awareness into. For example, when energy begins to move into the heart, you could have a heartgasm. If the energy begins to move and there's grief moving, a griefgasm. There's laughter moving, a laughtergasm, whatever, just add gasm at the end. Sweet. So, orgasmicity is, for me, our capacity for the embodiment of orgasmic energy. And I acknowledge that in many languages, and I speak 7 of them, including in English, sometimes the words orgasm and ejaculation are used interchangeably. And from the perspective of the nervous system, these are 2 separate events. I'll give you some time to breathe that in. Quite often, these events can happen at the same time. And for all human beings, especially for those that identify as being beings in male bodies or cock owners, it can support to create, if you're on the path of mastery over ejaculatory choice, or for all human beings. It may benefit to explore this deeper. So coming back to embodiment, we are aware of physical embodiment, and through engaging with more presence and awareness in the body, from body to mind, which is bottom up, instead of mind to body, which is top down, we have the capacity to cultivate subtler layers of embodied awareness. And when we begin to engage with embodiment, with presence and awareness, these things called emotions begin to move. Anyone familiar with emotions? Yes? Is that a yes, Manchester? Yes. On this Wednesday evening? Sweet. So, when we have energy in motion that begins to move, which is an emotion, we begin to tap into our emotional and energetic bodies. And fully owning our energetic field, our energetic body, is vital just for well-being in general, and can support us to have greater access to our other bodies or the whole spectrum of embodiment. Sensual embodiment, sexual embodiment. So embodiment exists on a spectrum: mental, physical, energetic, emotional, sensual, sexual. Just diving deeper into the what. Sweet. Breathing that in. Okay, so how do we do this? Some tools. I'm a big fan of tools, breath and breath work, sounding and voice work, touch, movement, or more specifically, neurotransformative embodied movement, and cultivating subtler states of embodied awareness. So one of the ways, for example, with breath, we have the capacity to switch between our sympathetic and parasympathetic parts of our nervous system, very simply. With touch, for many human beings, our capacity to feel our own hands or to sense our own selves is sometimes disconnected. What I mean by that is there are direct somatic meaning of the body, pathways connecting our hands to our prefrontal cortex and our brains, generating a whole cocktail of neurochemicals: oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. And if this direct route of pleasure is blocked through touch, the only access point that we have is indirectly from the outside through someone else, which is fine, which is a valid option, but cultivating both pathways can be supportive to cultivate deeper embodiment and deeper into the frequency of orgasmicity. I can go on, and each one of these tools of breath, sound, touch, movement, and cultivating subtler states of awareness could be like its own 12-minute talk. Inviting you to take a breath on that. So, also to activate our emotional and energetic bodies using bioenergetic, emotional express and release tools. I'm a big fan of using both active, which are more yang tools, and receptive, which are more yin tools of awareness. And our beliefs and conditioning. So I notice with many human beings, there can be a belief that an orgasm is only something that someone else on the outside can give me, or I need to give someone else. But reframing that idea into a frequency and energy that we can tune our awareness into ourselves first can be supportive. Also conditioning, this super deep conditioning across cultures, and I've worked in more than 30 countries around the world in a few different languages. And for me, human beings all over the world are more similar than different. And there's deep conditioning surrounding sexuality with guilt, with shame, with fear of overwhelm. It's our common human condition. So this can be a really beautiful practice to explore what's present in our beings right now. And our pleasure ceiling. So I notice with many human beings, there's a certain ceiling of pleasure that they allow themselves to experience. Common themes can include low self-worthiness, fear of overwhelm. And this is a really beautiful way to explore receiving ourselves first, expanding our capacity to receive our own reality. in an embodied way. Ha! Sweet. So why would we want to do this besides what I've already outlined? It's a really beautiful way of self-care, self-love, self-pleasure. I'm a big fan of bubble baths, massages, saunas. I'm on your team. And this can be a deeper way to give our own selves love. Old habits. We have defined habits by which we sometimes explore our own sexuality. And disrupting these pathways in newer embodied ways can be quite supportive. This can be a really beautiful way to empower ourselves, to own our own power, to give ourselves what we're expecting other human beings to give us. To offer ourselves that first, to feel alive, in flow. Who doesn't want to feel all of that? So very soft, more like, I may consider it. And this can be a really beautiful way to increase the capacity of our nervous system, essentially to hold more intensity of life, especially when life is coming at us. To be able to clear our emotional and energetic body so we're not reacting to something in the past, but we're responding to something that's happening now. So that was, in brief, the why, the what, and the how of orgasmicity. And for me, at the intersection of sexual embodiment, somatics, sexology, tantra, and trauma, there's a lot of focus on the defense responses of the body, fight, flight, freeze, all of which are really worthy, and we should be exploring them deeper. And our body is a mystery school that has incredible recovery responses that we have access to if we tune into the wisdom of this vessel, which is what I'd like to share with you today. Thank you for receiving me, Manchester.